is your host, Akhil Navluri, and welcome to the brand new episode of the Space podcast series. In this podcast episode, I'm super thrilled and honored to be collaborating with one of the most eminent and prominent industry leaders of the IT space and the Mendix space, Mr. Alex Berg, who happens to be the principal software engineer of the company PostNL, and he's based out of the Randstad, Netherlands. So, Alex, it gives me a supreme pleasure to welcome you to this podcast episode of mine. So, Alex, how are you doing? And how are things in Randstad at the moment?
No, it's very well. And thank you for the invitation, of course. And it's really going well. The weather is a little bit gray, but everything else is, yeah, it's good.
That's pretty nice. So I think, is it like the summer season for you right now? Is the summer starting or what's the, season going on in
No,
Netherlands?
it's still winter. We are hoping for some sun, so that spring starts early. We had the
Okay.
last snow yesterday, I think. And from now on, it will be rain, and hopefully the sun and the nice temperatures will come soon.
That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. I think, that'll be a savior for you. Then spring is going to be a good season and away from the
I'm
winter's
sure.
chaos.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
Pretty nice, Alex. So, Alex, without any further ado, let's kick off with our podcast segment. All right. So, Alex, firstly, I'm really curious about this. So, Alex, let's talk about the timeline of your journey in the IT industry.
Okay, that's a quite long history already. Um, when I was doing a study and I dropped out of there, and then I worked as an at a company, and they involved me a bit in their projects and also the IT at that time. So slowly I get interested in IT and the programming and that kind of thing. So when I was sure about it, I took a night course for 4 years, and then projected myself to a real company where I did some IT. I started with I don't know if everyone remembers that notion, and intranets from those time,
Ah,
because
okay.
before the networking was really now as nowadays. So I
Yep.
should have implemented an intranet there, but they were taken over by another company, so intranet was already there. So I did
Okay.
some, From there on, I started my career as programmer, software engineer, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So, you told me that, you worked on intranet, but when you transitioned all the way into the world of internet, what was your exact reaction back then?
Yeah. Yeah. I, I, it's just a natural grow, I think. It's not really, was not really thinking about that in that sense. I think it was a natural evolvement of the technology and the capabilities of the technology. So in that sense, it was not. Was not surprised or that kind of thing. So intranet was in fact just the internet, only on business scale, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it is not a big difference between, only that the amount of resources and of course the what we are doing with it is changed a lot. But also in the beginning, you saw all the things which we have now, even and we call it nowadays social media with all their
Hmm.
presence. But even in
Yeah, yeah.
intranet, you had something like social media in a sense. And this is
Really?
the only, yeah,
Okay.
okay. It's like, kijk, it's more how you define social media in a sense. But a lot of intranets had already some bulletin boards, some chat corners, that kind of thing, which you can easily see as really early parts of social media. Not as addictive, not as malicious maybe as current social media maybe, but it was there already. So you saw already the seeds of what was coming.
Pretty interesting. So I would say that, that would, have laid the foundations for social media that we have right now in internet. And that started back then during the intranet time.
I think so, yeah. I think already it was there. It was not, kijk, and the likes of Mark Zuckerberg and for Facebook and that kind of thing. And also before him, there were some initiatives. They already saw the potential of this kind of media to bring people together in a nice, friendly way.
Hmm.
Only that evolved a bit to the current social media where more profit making is more at hand than something else,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly. That's the point. That's the point. Very right. So that's a beautiful timeline. Alex. Now, Alex, would you like to give me a overview into you being the principal software engineer for the PostNL company, a reputed logistics company based in the Netherlands?
Yeah, it's in we are with 4 people, and we all have some different areas of interest. Some of us are looking at AWS as an interest. I'm looking really at the Mendix part of the company, and we have one is doing much more with AI and data. So together we're looking at the company and the engineering part of that. We're doing this like one year now, and you have to understand where the company is coming from. From history, we were a vendor company. That means that everything you do in the company is delivered by vendors, by
Yep,
legacy software.
exactly.
And yeah, and 10 years ago, of now, not even 10, I think, even not so long ago, I was 6 years, I think, they decided to change that and going to build more themselves. So you have to understand they have no engineers. So they have to start an engineering culture and be as company, be attractive as an employee for engineering talent.
Yep.
So, and what we are doing as principal engineers, because our role is just quite young, is now the engineering is there, but you have to see, I'm always seeing them as a fleet of pirate ships. And okay, they have a common
Mhm.
goal to get the goods from the other part. But if they are sailing out of the harbor, they are free and on their own. So they're doing
Yeah.
always their own thing. So, and from an enterprise perspective, this is, yeah, it's nice to see, but we have to think about governance, compliance, and transitioning of people from one team to another team, and that kind of thing. So, as principal engineers, we try to bring the vision of the enterprise to them, give them think about the tools, the future way of working, that kind of thing, to give
Hmm.
some guardrails, some framework where they can operate in, so
Hmm.
that we all go in the same direction without wasting too much money and time on the things we don't want. And that is something we are now trying to get more in place. And
Yep.
it's not only engineering, but it's also the complete design structure, the compliance structure, the security structure, all those kind
Yeah.
of things. We
Hmm.
are learning very quickly to do it ourselves.
That's spectacular, Alex. So you told me that you are involved, with respect to the vision, and it's with respect to Mendix. Now you told me that in your team you have 4 members, and
Yeah.
when you people come up with a vision that this is the type of technology that we want to bring. So how much time does it take for the company to, let's say, greenlit that, or let's say to give a check mark saying that okay, we are approving this. So how much time that does that usually take when you're bringing a new technology?
Oh, that can take really some time. It's really it depends from which angle it's brought in. Normally, our business is in a normal company, or how it should be, is that the business should propose some new functionality. And when you look at our catalog
Hmm.
as from software or technology, which you can choose from to fulfill this need from the business.
Yep.
But sometimes in the market, new things arise, and also the business is not stupid, and they're reading about it, and just like the AI offerings nowadays. So they say
Hmm.
we want to do it with that new technology. So now that can be very easy. If we look at a POC, you can start tomorrow if you want. Only POCs have the special are a special monster. So we can do it very quickly and see if it is working for that question they have. And then we have to look if this succeeds, if it fulfills all the things we want to do with it. So can we use it somewhere else? Is it the compliant thing? Security is good. Everything is good.
Yep.
Uh, and then we can implement it in our normal portfolio as a technology stack we can use. So,
Yep.
and that can take a bit longer. So I think in general to adopt a new technology and
Yep.
also do trainings and all kind of things, you have to think about 6 months, 6 to 9 months,
Oh yeah,
something like that.
of
Yeah,
course.
but then you can use it as a company. You can use it everywhere.
Absolutely, absolutely. 6 to 9 months is the usual time, and I really understand that. And you just gave me the idea of POCs. But as we go down the line, we're going to talk more about the POC concept here, pretty surely.
Yeah.
Now, Alex, like I just wanted to understand, from your end, like what is your take, on the importance of Mendix in the Netherlands market and the logistics department?
Mendix was originally was a Netherlands-based company, of course, before it was taken over by Siemens. That's part
Okay.
now of this Siemens company. Um, and I really remember the days that nobody knows what Mendix was. And when you went to a company to try to sell it, it was really interesting. Yeah, they were looking at it and why do I need that? And it was really also in that time it was already quite expensive for a lot of companies.
Yep.
So and but it had proven itself as a really good replacement for software development in another way, in the sense that you can be quicker. The claim of Mendix was always you can be 10 times quicker. Yeah, 10 times quicker as what is always the case. And
Yeah.
how do you reach that goal? But what the main power of Mendix has always been, and that is something I think always the uh, besides what it is and what it can do, is that it makes it possible for a business person to sit next to a developer and see the program uh, grows to the needs he wants. And
Yep.
that part is really something that is really powerful. And the guy from the business understands what is going on. He can really check instantly what is going on. Um, and that is with high code in a sense. Um, that is different. There's a different experience because there are a lot of more things you have to do before it is working, and then a business person is already falling asleep or bored or whatever. So in that sense,
Yeah.
so your iterations, your feedback loops are really longer, and that is something Mendix did really right. And of course, it's what really in the Mendix environment, a lot of things you always have to do when starting a new project are already there for you. Right? The security part, the setting up of your environment, uh, user management, all those kind of things are already there. So it was a big plus also. And yeah, I was attracted by it because I was already working with frameworks beforehand to accelerate software engineering. And from the old days, really old days, uh, standard workbench and also RUP, rational unified process, that kind of processes and programs had the promise to make your software design and software development more like an automated process, just by
Yep.
designing and requirement gathering. That has never happened, of course, because there is more to it. But
Yep.
in an Mendix environment, you come closer to it. You
Hmm.
still have to do a lot of things, but it is easier to make things. There are less parts you have to touch, and it's also that the people who are developing in Mendix are more business oriented than technical oriented because they really don't need all the technical baggage from the start. It's not that there are not people in a team which need to know the technical parts,
Yeah.
but most
Hmm.
of them can be just more business oriented. So there is a shift in technology knowledge. The T-shaped part of a developer is more business aligned than technical aligned, but it's not something you also need a technical guy in the end to know more about the networking and the connection, that kind of thing. but in a sense to make you program, the business-oriented guy is there for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is always required. If you ask me, it has to be business oriented. Technically oriented, yes, it can be, but we have to, follow what the business requires. Then the user experience is good, and the credibility increases. And I know, that Mendix has made this possible, and they are doing it really well, I think, for the past 15 years. And the Netherlands market is really going booming, with Mendix, I believe.
Yeah, Mendix is in the Netherlands is quite big. It's really hard to get new managed engineers and experienced managed engineers, because there are a lot of managed engineers who cannot. They know how to open your Studio Pro environment, but that's there it ends. But nowadays, because the use of Mendix is more mature nowadays, so you
Yep.
see that companies are trying to do more with it. It started really as small processes which are replaced, Excel processes, and nowadays people try to do
Hmm.
more, even legacy stuff with Mendix, and it works already very good, I think. And just as PostNL does already. And what you see there is that if you do that, an extra layer of complexity is added to your programming. So then you have the need for more experienced people there. And that is sometimes still hard at the moment, because it's an evolution, of course, of people will get experience with programming in Mendix, and more companies are using it. So there are spread out thin. So we
Hmm.
need more experienced people come in to help all those companies with their difficult problems nowadays. And that is I think for the growth of Mendix, is a little bit um, that hinders them with growing, I think, sometimes.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. That sums up the point for me, Alex. Now, Alex, you told me that in Netherlands, Mendix is on a boom. Every place in Netherlands, Mendix has taken it over. Now, when it comes to the agricultural department, is it still Mendix that is there? Like when a farmer is using, let's say, there is a big agricultural department, and is Mendix there?
Yes, I think Mendix is really also very present in the agriculture part, because when I was a business consultant, I've been a business consultant for a few years.
Yeah.
Um, you see that the companies there, uh, I, I service a lot of, and not farmer itself, but the wholesale part of it, and you see that in that part of the economic structure, they also use it for portals, but also for workflow management of their processes. I worked for a big wholesale company with fresh fruit, and their growers used Mendix for registering what kind of products they are growing, what kind of how do you call it, additives they are using in the process. That kind of thing is also in the Mendix part, and also that when you put something in the ground, which brand you put in, how many days or weeks it takes to come to get your fruits off the trees and that kind of thing. So all predictions, all kind of things were done in the Mendix end. So you can the whole process of the whole life cycle of that part was in the Mendix application. So you see that in that area also there is more use of it, and there are more examples I know, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really I think you can use it in almost in every branch you can use it. It's more. I always always tell people Mendix is a kind of Swiss knife,
Yeah.
and uh, that's something. I don't know if you know the Swiss knives with all the possibilities. So
Yes,
that's
I know this was
also
nice. Yeah.
yeah. So and that's also sometimes a pitfall for it, of course, because you think this is a Swiss
Right.
knife, it can do anything,
Yeah.
and some people say we don't want a Swiss knife, we want only the one knife. So all those kind of uh, things you have to think about when you're using Mendix, but it can do a lot, and you can do really amazing stuff with it. Only you have to have the vision of doing something you really want to express with it. You can do it quickly, in a very good way if you want. And Mendix is always, if you have a challenge with something, and
Yeah,
Mendix will help you with it also. So in that sense, it's a really
100%.
good
Yeah.
company for you.
Absolutely. I feel, the root cause for that, or let's say the thing that, that has been solved really well is the workflow management. And that is very much required for the agricultural department. And yes, I really feel, it's going to go really well and Mendix is going to go places. Trust me, mark my words, because it's such a, user friendly platform for sure. Now, Alex, you've had a huge experience of, being a Java developer in the past. So like, what were, the key similarities, that you have observed of the same in Mendix?
I think software engineering is not changing. Yeah? So whatever tool you're using, software engineering is always starting with an idea from someone somewhere which should be made, and a technology stack which should use it. And for can build something, you have to through those phases of is it really does it really have what I need to build it? So requirements phasing,
Hmm.
prototyping, that kind of thing. And
Okay.
in a sense, that's not different for a Mendix part or a high code part. The only thing what's changing is the way to how to implement it. So in that sense, all key processes for software development are there. The only part is initiation and constructing, and that can be really different if you do it by high code or with Mendix. In the Mendix sense, you can be quite easily come to a result. In a high code, your first result takes something longer, maybe.
Yep.
And that's what we talked a little earlier about, that Mendix can be 10 times quicker. But
Yes. Yes.
for 10 times quicker, you need to have all the things in place to make it quicker. If your requirements are bad or whatever, nothing happens. And it's also that even Mendix doesn't prevent you from making bad programs. In that sense, there is not a difference, only in the time span and maybe in the maintenance area. So it's maybe easier to maintain than a high code project at the moment. But that's also depending on the culture in your company or where you work, what fits for you, of course.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's amazing, Alex. So, Alex, as I understand, because I also have learned some Java, and I understand that Java has a lot of syntax. It has the oops concept. It has how to create a class. It's about how do you create an object. No, when you
Yeah.
had those kind of syntactual context, kind of understanding with respect to Java, and when you transition to Mendix. I mean, did you feel like, it was a sigh of relief for you? Because in Java, there are so many syntaxes, but in Mendix, it's, pretty easy with, it's just the business logic.
No, it was. I must confess, um, I really liked the concept of Mendix, and that it did a lot of things already for me. But it was hard to come from a Java developer to Mendix, because
Okay.
the way you are thinking about programming and like you
Mhm.
say, in an object-oriented way, and how you approach things in a Java program are not quite the same in Mendix. So you really have to rethink how you think in that sense. And it took me really, I think, um, I was so embedded in the Java programming. I think it really took me about a year to really grasp all the ideas. Of course, I could really program in Mendix quite quickly, of course. But to really understand uh, how to use the power of Mendix, it took me really some time. Because what you always do in my case, I always try to escape the Mendix environment and do something in a non-proprietary way. So make a
Mhm.
Java function or on the side, because you're in Mendix, you can extend your Mendix program with Java or with JavaScript. So
Yep.
then you've thought about, if I do it that way, it's easier than I do it like that. But you have to think about the maintainability of your program, and that your fellow programmers don't understand the Java what you're writing.
Yeah.
So you must prevent yourself from doing that kind of thing. And in the end, a lot of things are um, the things I think most of the things were what I wanted to do are later on added by Mendix to the program to make it more smooth. Because when I started with Mendix, a lot of things were not possible yet. So what you see is a lot of functionality was what was not there, and you
Yeah.
had to make yourself. It's now there. So I think the transition from an high code to a Mendix engineer is not that hard anymore. It's only your
Yeah.
mindset. It is your mindset. If you're
Exactly.
like, if I think always that in the end, a lot of engineers are people who like abstract puzzles, and they want to solve something. And also, Mendix is an abstract puzzle, but more a puzzle to perform for your business and not perform a technical feat. It's
Yes.
always,
Yes.
and that is the mindset you have to need to have. We all want to please our business or our customer,
Mm.
and not if you. I always remember when I was doing Java programming, you were so glad that you made your program. It worked technically perfect. All the tests were doing fine, so you were happy about it. And then the business was looking at it and say, yeah, what is this? And in a Mendix environment, you're always directly with the business in place. So there
Yeah.
is not the technical accomplishment is much
Yeah.
less a factor than the business value you deliver, and that is something I really like. Because in the end, we are not engineering for our own pleasure, but for the
Yes.
pleasure of our customer.
Exactly, exactly. That's a right point. And Mendix is really, helping out the business in that way. That's very nice, Alex. Now, Alex, would you like to, share your experience of your first day of work at PostNL company? And having said that, what has attracted you, the most being part of this amazing company?
No, okay, that last part, let's start with that. I was working as a business consultant,
Okay.
and as a business consultant, you have the opportunity to comment a lot of companies and see what problems they are and propose solutions for them. But most of the time, you're there to implement it, and if it works, you go away. But you never see it working on a longer term. So you never have the real success of your implementation and the benefits they reap of it. So in that sense, it was always a bit, it was nice to put something there and it works and okay, go. But it was also a bit disappointment that you could not see the successes of it. So after 11 years of business consultancy, I thought, maybe I
Hmm.
should work at a customer road where I can see the beginning, but also the evolvement over the years to see what successes are there. And that
Hmm.
is what really attracted me to a customer, uh, to an end customer to work for. And PostNL was, I was, I was really not thinking about PostNL, to be honest. Um, but they approached me with this question, and I was in the right mood for that because what I'm telling you. Yeah, I was never thinking about PostNL in a sense because I was really not thinking about leaving the business consultancy at that time. I was having that feeling that I wanted to see more results of the work I did, but not concrete in that sense. And yeah, when I was called by PostNL, really my first reaction was no, 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 I'm not interested. Bye bye. I have a good job, and
Okay.
why should I go to another? And come talk with us. And so I did my first conversation with them and back and forth. And in the end, they convinced me really that it could be really something. Also, because they have not a lot of knowledge about Mendix at that time in-house, and they used an external company for the knowledge. So there was a big opportunity for me to bring that knowledge to that
Okay.
company. And
Right.
so that was really interesting also, and then combined with the expectations of seeing what you were sowing, grow, and get fruit was really interesting enough to go there. So it was really quite quite fast process. I think we did in a month or so. We made an agreement, and I went there very quickly. And I was really because then you have to wait. You have always some transition time from your old job to your new job,
Yep.
and I
That's right.
really so I really remember the first day I went there,
Yep.
and I was met by my direct boss, of course, and the team which I was working with. And
Mm.
yeah, we drank coffee and we had cake, and I get a big bag with all kind of goodies from PostNL and a new laptop and all kind of things you need for your job.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was the first part, a really friendly way of receiving you. Um, then you go to the office, and then you get to get your laptop on and that kind of thing. Now, if you have lunch, and your first day is really going by very quickly because they prepared all kinds of documents you have to read and a list of people
Mm.
you need to contact. You get some
Yep.
meetings already to get you a bit of into the flow already. And that goes on the first 2 weeks. So you really need to talk with a lot of people and everyone. And that is really something I really admire at PostNL. If you contact somebody and you say, "Hey, I'm a new person here. Can we connect and tell me about your work, and I will tell you about mine." Everyone is open to it. Everyone
Oh,
makes time for
nice.
you to meet you, and
Right.
that is really nice. So it is
Hmm.
really a really open culture in that sense. So
That's
and that
really
was
nice,
really,
Hmm.
yeah, you feel really welcome there. It's really people's company in that sense. It's really about connections, and yeah, feeling welcome was really a really big thing there. So
Brilliant,
in that
Alex.
sense,
That's
yeah,
yeah. That's
okay,
pretty brilliant, Alex, to, hear about that and, having your good, first day of work. So I can just say that, along with you, Mendix came, to PostNL company, I
yeah.
believe, right? And I just wanted to understand, like, how did you get, the PostNL offer? Like, I mean, was it, one of your old colleague who, referred you? Like, how did you, come across PostNL?
No, it was an open call from a recruiter from PostNL, which saw
Okay.
my profile on LinkedIn, and
Hmm.
he called me. He just was cold calling. So now, and I talked with him before, and I was if you're on LinkedIn and you had a Mendix profile, a good Mendix profile, you were contacted a lot of times, and I always keep the door closed because I was not interested. Um, I had a good time at my previous company. So, and this time, yeah, I don't know what it was, but we had a conversation, and he lured me into the first conversation with my new boss, Emma, and and that first talk with them was really interesting. So it triggered
Hmm.
something that I really liked, and yeah, then you have to think about, yeah, what do I do? Shall I explore this opportunity? Not saying yeah or no, but yeah. So I said, okay, I agree to a second conversation about this, and also in my own circles got some information about PostNL and how it was working
Hmm.
there because I knew some people already.
Yep.
Um, so and then you get more interested, and also and I had also some time off, so I could rethink also what I was doing at that moment. So all those kind of things make me more ready for a transition to PostNL, I think. And then in the end, of course, you have it's really, yeah, the basic stuff. Do that pay enough? Is the function interesting enough? All those kind of things. But in the beginning, we didn't talk really about what I was going to do. It's more what I could do for that company, in a sense, what they would like to see. And later on, we just filled in the function and the salary in a sense. So that was fine.
Very nice, very nice. So, when you went to PostNL company, you told me that, there they were using the legacy system. So when they were using the legacy system, how much time, did it take, for you to, adapt from a legacy system to Mendix, like, to migrate things from legacy system to Mendix? Like, how much time did that
Uh,
usually take for you?
I I did not start it, I think, but they were already transitioning. But it really took them a long time, because you have to understand their complete logistic process was on it. So the parcel delivery and the delivery of and the complete distribution of the parcels through the Netherlands was done by those systems. So they really need to the new way of working needs to be proven in a sense. So you cannot do that easily. So in a sense, I think they took, for a complete transition of all the legacy systems, I think
Mhm.
that took 10 years, and they took 10 years, I think. But then you have to
10
understand that,
years. Oh,
yeah, but
okay.
then you have to understand it's not one legacy system to phase out. So, and it is not only, and what you see is that there are multiple systems involved, and one by one they are taken out. I think the first legacy system which was taken out took about a year, and everything evolves from that. You have to transition all the interfaces. You have to transition. There are a lot of
Right.
moving parts in that world you have to take care of. And nowadays, I think there are one or two legacy systems left, but there are really small players in all. And now we have time again to look at our landscape and do a next iteration and make it even um, more fit for purpose, I would say. And
Hmm.
because, yeah, you have to stay alert in making your software every time, let it evolve further. And that is also one of the powers of the Mendix framework. You can really iterate quickly through your applications and refresh it. And that is
Hmm.
something which really easily done. So we are doing that right now, but we are looking really at also new developments also, of course, and look into how we can more yeah, what I'm told earlier, that we have on a bunch of pirate ships, that we are doing it in the right
Yeah,
way at
yeah,
the moment, that we do it
yes.
in the same development way. So that's what you're looking now into. And yeah, that's going much faster than the legacy transition, I must say. But that is really happening at the moment. And that is needed because you need to understand that a company like PostNL, which is of course very big, but we have also very big competitors in Europe.
Yeah.
So we need to be on top of our game,
Yes.
to stay attractive for our customers. So
Hmm.
also our software should be agile, because if we want to have a new proposition, we need to we have to offer it in our software systems tomorrow if needed. So that's the challenge of the software we have. We really must be capable of changing what we are doing in a very fast way.
Hmm. Absolutely, Alex. That sums up the point for me, and I really like the example of the pirate ships. But now as we head on, Alex, I just wanted to understand. Would you like to give me a deep insight into PostNL's connect with Mendix's center of excellence, and also I want to understand what exactly is the Mendix's center of excellence on the whole.
Yeah, of course. I think Mendix and PostNL is already in a relationship of I think about 15 years or something like that. They started with really small things when Mendix was not a very big company. And then we started with the first order managers, how we call them at PostNL, and that was a collaboration of PostNL, Mendix, and a partner who gives the Mendix give us the Mendix developers, engineers, and the knowledge of it. And what they did, they provide us a framework in which our Mendix engineering could be done. But that was not done by PostNL because it was a vendor and they delivered all the people and also the skills and that kind of thing. And you see over the years, more and more engineers came from PostNL itself. We hired our own engineers. So you see the relationship changed a bit. And at a certain point, we say, okay, we want to change a bit and we want to do, and maybe we want another partner or the same partner, but we are going to do a request for a proposal from a lot of companies and see if we can find a better fit or another fit. And so, and in that new constellation, what we are striving for was that all the governance and knowledge base they brought to us, which they really had the Cape Group did that, and they really did a good job. But that we look at it and say, yeah, we want our own knowledge center of that, and we want to be in control more and not be depending on an external company. And that is a natural way of evolvement. And that has really become the Mendix Center of Excellence. And in that Mendix Center of Excellence, what you have there is you are selecting the tools your engineers can use. You are putting down the best practices, the governance rules, all kind of things, the enablement of your engineering teams. And also you are the watchdog for certain processes, and your quality and the quality tools. You are warning your teams that they are using things they don't must use. So you're really also the watchdog for them. So, and that is really what you are doing. And also sometimes, and I'm not really the big fan of it, but you are the knowledge center of Mendix there. I think the knowledge of Mendix should be in the teams and not in the Mendix Center of Excellence, but that is also issues. And is also one of the main channels for communication with Mendix itself. So from the MCE, and they also if there are questions, and we try to communicate by with Mendix by the MCE. All teams can do directly support tickets to Mendix, but if we have bigger issues, we do it by the MCE, and as enterprise, they are the channel. And we also they also watch roadmaps and all kind of things to be involved in future ideas how to use Mendix. And I, as principal engineer, have also a role in that to look at new technologies they are offering, how we can use that. And together with the MCE, we can then talk about how to implement this and what kind of guardrails are needed for that. That's a bit how the MCE is working.
That's nice. So when we talk about, Center of Excellence, I understand, it's the direct communication with, PostNL and Mendix. Now, having said that, Alex, have you, got any, did you, attend any event, about, Mendix's Center of Excellence, or any in-house event, that was a collaboration between PostNL and Mendix? Like, did such kind of things happen?
Yeah, I think we always in our busy period in the end of the year, we have some holidays where people tend to send parcels and gifts to each other. So really busy times. And and what we always do together with Mendix is a kind of watch on the systems and have a collaboration with each other to see if everything is going right with the systems we have. Because if we don't, if our systems go down, no one gets a parcel in the Netherlands. and
Of course.
that is not what you want. And Mendix from the infrastructure side is watching if everything goes right. And we are watching our programs, and they're watching the infrastructure. And we have a real collaboration, and also even a daily conversation about it. It's short, but we are working together like that. And that's how close we are sometimes.
Hmm. That's pretty close. We're like very close. Like sometimes, did you ever face, I know this is a little bit, let's say, not a good, off topic, or let's say a very dull kind of a question to be asked. But, did you ever see, some kind of a downtime going, for example, sometimes the delivery is not, sent on time, did such kind of, issues come, you experienced?
Now, for the software, I think almost never. In that sense, Mendix is really reliable. Like in the real world, the delivery can be off and late, but that has nothing to do with our software. More
Yes.
to do with the physical experience of the deliver guy.
Okay.
The road conditions, the weather conditions, the traffic conditions,
Hmm.
all kind of conditions where he has to work through, and that can make our delivery late or even not existing at that time. And yeah, of course, we have a high approval rate by our customers, but there is
Yep.
still, I think, 8% of the people who are using us is not satisfied with what we are doing, and that's all. That's yeah, that is fair, of course, because they have a bad experience, and we try to close that gap. But that is not that easy as it seems, because uh,
Yeah.
you work with individual persons, and we had last year we had in Belgium a deliver guy who just rode his van into an trench on purpose.
Oh
So
God.
yeah,
Okay.
so and then the parcels which are in that van are not delivered, and the people who are want those parcels have a bad experience. But are we to blame? Yeah, that's the
God.
hard part. Of course, we are to blame because we are the company who had the parcels. But in a sense, is that is always yeah, we working with people, and people do things, and also yeah, this, and beside that, we don't run away for our own process problems. Sometimes, of course, we have those also. So there are a lot of moving parts, and it's hard to keep them in control always.
That is true. That is true. But I really say that, Mendix is always like the reliable thing, and, it always answers the questions and, keeps
Yeah.
people updated. But, certain things happen here and there, but again, they'll also get solved pretty easily. So that wouldn't be a, problem, I would say, Alex. So, but I'm really,
No.
impressed by the offerings, or let's say by the excellence, that Mendix is offering. So that is really good. Now, Alex, would you like to, shed some spotlight, into you being associated with POCs, proof of concepts for Mendix?
Yeah, it's interesting to see if you when Mendix was not that big, and they started in the Netherlands. I told you already, but then
Yeah.
they went to the US of A. They went to Boston, and in Boston, they have MIT and university there. And
Yeah.
one of the first uh, things you can see as an acceptance of the Mendix software, it was that MIT was using Mendix as a prime base for POCs. So that
Hmm.
was a little bit side story. But no, I think POCs in a sense with Mendix are really quick to make. I think nowadays with AI, I think there is a little bit of shift, but till now you could really do a POC with a customer together in really quick time. You do a workshop and try to make something really to get a result at the end of the day, and something the customer was not expecting and did a lot more than he was expecting at all. So in that sense, it was a perfect vehicle to um, convince people about the power of Mendix, and also to sell licenses, of course.
Okay.
The only thing about POCs is that a POC is a POC, and a lot of things you need to have in a production software is not there in a POC. If you are really doing a POC, you throw away everything you did and start building again because your production environment should be different. So, and that in that sense, I think if you're building a POC, you have to be fair to your customer always to say this, because a lot of expectations from customers were always based on building the POC, which went very fast, and that the real thing would go also very fast, but not as fast as they saw in the POC. But then you can really make it shine with Mendix, because you always you can do a really good front end experience, which also impresses business customers, of course, and they are not, and that's really helpful, of course. And if you, what we always did when I was a business consultant, we always had an expert, a front end guy with us to make it more shiny, and yeah, that really helps for the experience. And yeah, POCs are really the vehicle to. In my, you can do it in two ways. You can do it as a sales POC, so you want to sell something, or it can be really improve a concept of the technical concept to work. And in both ways, Mendix was really up to the task really quickly. And yeah, that was really an impressive feat always to use it. Because otherwise you have to code really a long time to do something.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. In the conversation, in our previous conversation, when you just told me that, one person in Belgium, he just threw the delivery truck, or let's say the van, in the trench, then itself,
Yeah.
I just got one idea. I just, out of curiosity, I'm asking you this. Like in AI, we have one concept called, computer vision. So is Mendix, integrating computer vision so that, they can actually track, where the van is going, where the delivery truck is going, any of that sort?
It's interesting that you told. We are. I just did a POC with a part of the company where we use computer vision for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we use cameras and that kind of thing for a lot of things in our operation already. And we cannot use a lot of things in the Netherlands because privacy ruling. So you cannot get people in the camera and that kind of thing. So we have to blur them out, all those kind of things. But what we do in our depots is tracking the roll cages with parcels in it and count them and that kind of thing. So there is a lot of computer vision stuff already going there, and and also those images are processed, and what they are doing really is producing events. And events, you can pick up events with your Mendix system, of course, if you want that. But it's not something you want to do because a Mendix application is, in a sense, still a Java application. It can process a lot of events. Some million it can really process without falling over. But that is not the right way to, in an architectural vision, you never would do that. You really would receive those events in an event store and try to do something with it before you have it in a Mendix environment to do some logic or do some processing or some insights. This is also why and there are different vendors for event storage and that kind of thing, because if you have too much events and if you have to think about our roll cages, for instance, in the Netherlands all have a Bluetooth device on them. So every time when they moving through a gate, they're sending an event. Millions of events are propagated every minute because those things are moving, and we can see every roll cage we have. We can see where it is in the Netherlands on the map. So
that's fantastic. Yeah.
And that is really a lot of events are going there. So you never want to use an application in that sense. You also want some event ingestion method to get that events and then use it further in your applications. So in that sense,
Okay.
computer vision can be used, but and not. I would say if there are a lot of events involved, not directly, but I will not say it cannot be done. And there is what we did also when I was a business consultant. There was a company which did all the infrastructure for fitness clubs and they use all Mendix for opening gates, making payments, all kind of things in their fitness club, all based on
Okay.
events, and also with
All
computer
right.
vision things to maintain it. So it can be done, but you have to think about the use case, how to use it in your Mendix ecosystem. That's maybe
Okay.
a better answer than the first one.
Perfect, perfect. That that completely sums up the idea for me, and that's a good summarization of that. Alex, now Alex, like, are there any interesting success stories and anecdotes that you have come across in your IT journey and at PostNL that you would like to share with the listeners in this podcast session?
Oh, I think I think I'm always bad at this kind of things, but I think the biggest success at PostNL for Mendix
Yeah.
is really our fast code solution team. It's a team what goes into the company and try to see if there are any processes which are badly managed or managed by Excel or on paper even, or where a lot of
Hmm.
people are doing things which are looking really stupid in this day and age,
Yeah.
and are really time consuming. So what they are doing is we're looking at those processes and we try to describe these processes, and if it is a good use case, we make an application for it. And that Fast Code Solution team that's now existing for almost 3 years, I think, have done amazing job by taking already something like 9 or 10 applications um, they built already, and there were really a revenue about for millions they save with their applications because the processes they replace are really so it took so much time and so much inaccuracy that doing this now in a more structured way is really more efficient and really, yeah, in a sense, delivers a lot of money for us. And that is really a big success because you then can see that even smallest processes in a company can um, can make you lose money
Mhm.
without even knowing it. So if you pick those things up, yeah, they really can make more revenue for you and more profit. And the only thing you have to watch out for is that you don't make all and that you not making all kinds of solutions which are point to point solutions and not fitting in your complete ecosystem of your applications, because everything has an association with each other. So you have to be aware of the touch points for your enterprise, and have to be aware that you combine them with each other. So there will be one, in a sense, your one living software application, which is your enterprise, which is
Exactly.
consisting of a lot of separate objects which you can fit in when needed.
Hmm.
But that is
Absolutely, absolutely.
something yeah, but that's something.
Yeah.
It's more my thought always. You have in a company you have an organization. You do as organization doing some kind of process, and all those kind of things you can think of functional processes as software, which you combine then to one big process. And if you do that rightly, you can yeah you can do anything there. And pick something out, make something new, and all kind of things. You really need
Okay.
to define your interfaces everywhere.
Hmm. Absolutely,
In-
Alex. That's a pretty good, insight, or let's say, an interesting anecdote and a success story for sure. Now, Alex, let's say, for example, you told me that, as we have just discussed, that you're a principal software engineer for Mendix, and suppose you get a project, from the Dutch Eredivisie League, the team that you support, Feyenoord, and if you get an offer from, the Dutch Eredivisie, would you like to, take it over? Like, would you like to, take that opportunity?
in my current in my current state of my career and age, I think yes, I would do that.
That's nice. That's
Yeah,
nice.
for sure. Yeah, I think you always have to think about what could happen there. Now, but I would nowadays I would say yes, go for it, and
That's nice.
try to do something there, which is really worthwhile. But it's not an easy environment to work in,
Yeah.
the football environment. So yeah, it's
Yes.
I really should have to think hard about it, and the circumstances should be right for that.
Pretty nice. You will, you need to just, manifest that, you need to think that, that has happened, and definitely it
Yeah.
will. Pretty nice, Alex. So, Alex, before we actually, conclude our podcast session, let's take a lighter route. All this while, I was, bombarding you with, questions about Mendix, Mendix Center of Excellence, your take on, the Mendix in the Netherlands market, the logistics department, and many other things. But this time, I'm
Mhm.
not going to, bombard you with any questions of that, but I will take you to a very lighter route in the form of a very non-technical rapid fire round, where I'll just, talk about your likes and interests. So, are you ready with the first question of the rapid fire round, Alex?
Come on, minute. Come on. Yeah.
Perfect then. All right. So, Alex, I was just talking about, the Dutch Eredivisie League. So, in the Dutch Eredivisie League, which is your favorite football team?
Yeah, my favorite football team is of course Feyenoord. Feyenoord Rotterdam is the best team of the Netherlands, and not always in the rankings, but also in my heart is always the best team there is.
Very nice.
So
So,
yeah,
yeah, that's good. That's a good choice. About Feyenoord. I really heard that, Feyenoord and Ajax, they have a very solid fight, right? In the league.
yeah, Feyenoord and Ajax are one of the oldest teams in the league, and there is a real rivalry always
Yeah. Yeah.
between those, because Rotterdam and Amsterdam are two major cities in the Netherlands, so they
Okay.
also fight, and yeah, that stems from there, and
Oh God.
it really can get ugly sometimes.
Yeah, 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 heard of it. I've read a lot of books, and I'm a huge football fan. So for me, knowing about football, takes me to a very different level. So I really like that. Now, if you have to, pick up your favorite footballer of Feyenoord, who would that be?
Oh, from all time or for now, current?
For all time, like who you have,
Oh, for
idealized.
I think for all time it should be Willem van Hanegem. Is
Okay.
an old guy already, but he was really the best, I think. And I even saw him play live. So that's for
Okay.
me. It was I was very young then, but I saw him play live in his not in his best days, but in when he was some older already.
All right.
And from the current team, I think yeah, we have a new guy this year. He called Valente. Is really nice player. He's really insightful, quick on the midfield, quickly seeing opportunities, giving good passes. Really good player.
Hmm.
But
I heard,
he
like,
has to prove to be an all favorite, of course.
yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
My favorite footballer, one of my favorite footballer, Robin van Persie, is your coach, right? In Feyenoord.
Yeah.
How is he doing?
That's a very tricky question. I think as a footballer, he was really the top of the world. He was one of the best attackers
Hmm.
I think there ever been. But as a coach, he's really a beginning coach.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So and he has some difficulties to make his team perform at the moment. I think
Yeah,
he's also a bit unlucky with the physical state of the team at the moment.
Yeah.
I think he can be a good coach, but not he is not yet. So he will be
He will
maybe
be
in a
right.
few years maybe. But
Yes, it will
nowadays,
take some time.
yeah, it will take some time, and yeah, it is hard to say because Feyenoord isn't isn't is a club who always wants to perform, and they are now performing not that good as we want it to be. So he gets a
Mhm.
lot of criticism about it, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
we are wondering if he will, um, if he can be the coach also next year. Let's say it that way.
Let's see. Let's see. Fingers crossed, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Okay. You just told me that, you had the experience of, watching your favorite, your favorite sporting idol, during one time. But do you remember, your first ever game, that you watched of Feyenoord, like when you were so young? Like the first ever game.
Ooh, I think I was really was quite late. I think because I was not interested in sports anyway when I was really young. Because
Okay.
I remember that I was in Rome in 1974 when the Dutch team played final against Germany, and
Okay.
I was playing on the street, and my father
Okay.
and
Yeah.
my father and uncle were really disappointed, and I didn't
Okay.
understand why because the football I was never looking at football. And I think my interest came later on in life when I went to secondary school. I think there my interest was coming, and then I also went to go to the stadium for the first time, and
Hmm.
I was looking at soccer at football at the time with my father at
Yeah.
Sunday at and when it was football on television. But yeah, not really into it. But when I went to the game and
Yeah.
felt the atmosphere in the stadium and
Hmm.
all that kind of things, yeah, that really tricked me. And from then on, I think the first game I saw there was a European game, and I don't remember the adversary. I think, but it was really a magical evening with so many people, the singing, the fireworks, everything was there. And yeah, then the seed was planted in me. And of course, my family was already into Feyenoord for a long time already. But I never understood why they were so crazy about it. And it came
That
later
happens.
on in
That
life.
happens.
Yeah, yeah,
That definitely happens, Alex. That's very nice to know about your long association with Final Football Club, which is really good. Now, Alex,
yeah.
I come from India, and I'm of the Indian origin. So I wanted to ask you, like, did you ever have a chance of trying some Indian food, or some Indian food that you like to try?
Oh, I like Indian food. I really do like Indian food. Um, I try to we try to eat it maybe once a month or something like that. And
Once a month? Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah, because we really like the how how it's called. Um, I don't know if the names, but we
I
all
can help you out with that.
it is I think we all we like the curries and that kind of thing. All kinds of it.
Hmm.
I really like the with lamb and also some spicier things. I always
Okay.
try the vindaloo, of course, which
All
is
right.
bit too spicy sometimes. No, but I
Okay.
really
Yeah.
like also because there's a lot of vegetarian dishes also, and that is
Huge.
also some and samosas that really nice to eat. So yeah, that I really like, and I'm not a vegetarian, but I really do like to eat a lot of vegetarian food. So yeah, it's really nice to yeah, I don't remember all the names. It's something you have to excuse for me, but it's really nice to eat something from India nowadays. And I have to
Very glad to hear. Yes.
congratulate you with the win of India over the Netherlands a day ago.
Yeah, I mean, we have been playing with Netherlands, and we really like it. I mean, Netherlands is a very good team. They're picking up, but I'm pretty sure that they'll come to a very good level, and Yeah.
Yeah, it was for the Dutch guys. I saw an interview with them, and they played for the first time in your very big stadium. So they really
Yes.
were they were really impressed by the surroundings, and
Yeah.
also of course by the Indian team, because they're really saying it's the best team of the world. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's true at the moment.
It is right. It is right. It is 100% right.
Okay. Oh, it's really nice to see it. Yeah.
Like one of the best teams in the world, because we've won like 3 World Cups now, and but Australia is better than us, but they're not in the contention of the ICC champions. What am I saying? The ICC T20 World Cup, but they have won 6 times, 6 World Cups. So we have won 3, they have won 6. So there's always like a competition.
Yeah. Yeah, it used to be also England in the mix, but they were really a bit slacking, I think.
England is good. I mean, they're better than Australia this time. But previous to let's say previous to Champions trophies and ICC T20 World Cups, they were bad. But now they're back. Let's see who's going to win it. But it's going to be a very neck-to-neck competition for sure.
Yeah, I think cricket is the thing. India should be really on top, together with
Huge.
hockey. I think field hockey should also be a big competitor in the field hockey game. I think we the Dutch are really the really good in field hockey,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
India was always a big competitor for us, and now the last years it's a bit they fell a bit behind. Also, that's sad. We need
Okay,
more
that's
competitors in that area.
they will. They will. Netherlands team is going to pick up, and that not rivalry. That competitive spirit will be between
Yeah.
India and Netherlands pretty soon on that. Now, I just asked you about Indian food, Alex. Like, no, what if I have to ask you, like, what is your favorite comfort food that you always like to have?
Oh, I think I really like. Um, you can always wake me up for some Indonesian food. It's
Indonesian,
really
okay.
yeah, some rice and some meat and some vegetables. I really like. That's really something I always like.
Okay.
And of course, just Dutch food also, of course. But if you really want to spoil me a bit, give me some Indonesian food, and I really enjoy it. Yeah.
Done deal.
Like
When I meet you in
it
person,
can be easy. What do you say? What?
yeah, when I was saying, when I meet you in person, I think we need to have some, Indonesian food for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be really nice. Yeah.
Nice, interesting, interesting. That's a pretty interesting choice. That's good to hear. Now, I just wanted to like, heading on to this, like, what is your favorite movie franchise of all time?
Franchise. Oh, franchise is interesting. Um, Favorite franchise. I think if you the movies, I think the franchise. Yeah. I always associate franchise with some with the multiple movies, dus, like the Marvel franchise or the DC
Yeah.
franchise.
Yes,
In
yes.
that sense, I'm not that. I like superheroes, but it's not the biggest cup of
Cup of
tea of
tea.
me. I think it's nice, but it's more popcorn amusement. Um,
Okay.
which is fine, of course. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think if you really look at if you look at action movies, I think the Mission Impossible series of Tom Cruise is really nice to see. Not the last parts are a bit uh, less than the first ones, but and of course I cannot. My favorite superhero, which is not a superhero, but it's just Batman. And Batman is
Batman,
of
okay.
course a superhero which is not adept with superpowers,
Yeah, yeah.
only with a big intellect. And I'm a fan of Batman from a small child when I read the first Batman comics. So
Hmm.
in that sense, I would say the Batman franchise. If I have to pick one, but I really do like more serious movies, I must say.
Serious movies, okay.
Yeah.
Batman is a good choice. I like Christopher Nolan's Batman, and that's really good. So Batman on the whole is a
Oh
very
yeah.
nice one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I looked at the series from 1943. All those from that part on, it's really amazing how that character evolves and what it is doing and how funny and also how stupid sometimes it is. But I always like it.
Okay, okay, that's nice. So if I have to, give you two choices, which one would you select? Would you select tea or would you select coffee?
I would select tea.
Tea, okay. That's a
Yeah.
unique choice. I think in India there's a huge competition between tea and coffee. We drink both. Yeah.
Now I think I drink. I used to drink a lot of coffee, but I
Okay.
stopped with that. I drink
Mhm.
now maybe 2 coffees a day or something like that. And beside that, I drink only water most of the time and tea.
Right.
That's really if I want something warm, I drink tea. That's really nice to drink.
Nice. Interesting. That's an interesting choice. Now, if if you have to choose your favorite travel destination, what would that be?
London.
London. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I really like London. I'm not. I don't like the heat, so I don't go to places where the temperature is above, I think, 26, 27 degrees. So I don't
Yeah.
like it, and I avoid it if I can.
Okay.
And I really like the UK, Britain, and London is really a special place. I think I've been there a lot of times already, and every time again it surprises me. And yeah, it's really a nice place to be. Um, uh, I don't know what it is, what attracts me, but the city, the architecture, the museums, the people, everything I like. Yeah.
Nice, nice. That's good. So now last three questions, in this podcast, in this, like, let's say in the rapid fire round for you, Alex. So Alex, like, what was the first car, that you have purchased?
First car. Oh, interesting. I bought a Volvo, Volvo 60. You can you find it on Google. It's really we had in the Netherlands we had a car company called DAF, and DAF was taken over by Volvo, and one of the models was taken also over by a Volvo, and it was a DAF-like Volvo, and it was really an interesting cheap car for the masses, and it was
Okay.
it had some driving belt below to drive the transmission. It was doubly executed, and it could go as fast forwards as backwards. So it has the uh, how it called the transmission was very clever. A very clever invention. It's really still used in some areas. It was a Dutch invention, and it was the first car I could buy from a colleague, and
Okay.
I drove with it for I think 2 years, and then I moved on because it broke down. Of course, now it not broke down now. I break it down by parking it into another car. So then I had to
God, that's a very horror story.
yeah, and then I had to buy another one. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it happens. Um, no, but I was really I did a lot of things with it. It was really my first feeling how free and the possession of a car could make you. That's really
Okay.
yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Now, I just wanted to understand, since you come from Netherlands, what makes you, what makes you so proud about, your country? What do you like the most about your country? And, being a Dutch.
Oh, what do I? Yeah, it's always a bit. I think our country is still one of the best countries to live in because
Yep.
we are. I think we are on we are really tolerant in a lot of ways, but also not tolerant. We are social,
Okay.
but also not social. But if you are, it is really you can make your own destination here quite easily. We have a lot of rules and a lot of things I think, as a foreigner, will strike you as odd. But for me, I really experience freedom, and that you can say anything you want, you can do anything you want. There's not a
Yeah.
lot that can keep you. Everything. There's no corruption. There's not a lot of crime. So in that sense, the Netherlands is a great country to live in. So security is good, the healthcare is good. Not a lot to complain.
Okay.
That is from the outside view. From inside, everything should be better, of course. But there's always in a country. If you have it good, you want to change it even better. And we
Right.
complain about everything a lot. But I think if you look at the Netherlands, we have
Mm.
we are rich. We can buy anything. We are complaining we cannot go on holiday 3 times a year. Now that are our problems. Now, if that are our problems, we don't have a lot of problems, I think.
Okay. That's good. So the final question to you. So would you like to, share your experience of, being part of my podcast initiative? And, would you like to, speak in Dutch? And instead of speaking in English, you can tell it in Dutch.
So about your podcast, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. What's your experience like? And, you could just give some small word or something like
Oh,
that.
nou, het was een eer om uitgenodigd te worden in deze podcast. Ik vond het een hele fijne ervaring om met je te praten. En ik hoop dat je nog veel meer interessante gasten gaat krijgen, zodat jouw podcast heel erg populair gaat worden in deze wereld. You're
Okay.
welcome.
Thank you. So I think you told good things, right?
I told good things. Yes. You can translate it later, and then you'll hear what I'm
Okay,
saying.
sure. I'll do that. That's amazing. That's
Okay.
really good, Alex. Thank you so much, Alex. So, Alex, it was finally, thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule and being part of my podcast initiative. It was such a fun conversation today. Going around Mendix, going around your journey, talking a lot about football. But the main thing that struck a chord with me was your take on Mendix in the Netherlands market and logistics department. Your first day of experience at PostNL and being Java. Like what's the difference between Mendix and Java? What was your transition like? So these points really struck a chord with me, and it was such a lovely conversation. Once again, thank you, Alex, for this golden opportunity, and let's stay in touch.
Thank you for the opportunity, and it was very nice. I really liked it.
All right,
Okay.
listeners. On this note, this is your host Akhil Navluri signing off. We will be back with another podcast episode with another eminent industry leader very soon. Till then, keep listening. Goodbye, stay tuned, and au revoir. Thank you.